Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I believe we are here and everything is working. Let me know if you guys can hear me, see me, hear some music. I think I got everything set up this time around, so curious if it actually works. Perfect. Yes. Okay. Good. Okay. I thought I was too old maybe to get this right, but I guess not. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you here. In this live stream today, we are going to be talking about all of the Winter Wonderland challenges that you guys have submitted. I'll give some feedback and everything will be going smoothly, I hope. We'll also be giving away some prizes, but more on that a little bit later. I'll give everybody a few minutes to drop in. Officially, we're going live at 3 p.m. here, so let's settle in for a bit. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. This time around, we did get a lot of submissions, so I might not have time to go too much into depth with questions. But yeah, for now, we'll wait for a few minutes, so make sure to ask your questions right now. Yes, I am going to talk about all the renders I sculpted. There are quite a few this time around, so that's really, really amazing to see. But that means we're gonna have to rush things a little bit. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a different name, Peter. Good to see you here. Thank you for participating. I'll try and move my chat window somewhere where I can actually sort of look into the camera and read chat at the same time. Yeah, 40 plus submissions is crazy. I'm doing great. Everything is going well. Almost end of the year. 2024 is going to be an interesting year as well. So all good here. I hope everybody is doing great as well. Yeah, no worries. I mean, everybody who participated gets a fair chance at getting some feedback. That's the whole point of these live streams. It's not just to announce a winner or just select the best render. It's just to view everybody's render, to learn from each other, and yeah, everybody gets some feedback. Uh-oh. Got disappeared from where, Thomas Gamble? Yeah, it has a bit of static, right? So that's really annoying, and if there's any audio wizards, then maybe somebody can explain why that's happening, but sadly it does. I have roughly 2 hours, so we are going to be rushing a little bit, but I'll try to take it as slow as possible. Yeah, so I had a challenge, Vegeta, about creating a Winter Wonderland themed artwork. It's a Discord community challenge, so if you're not in the Discord, you might not have known. I did put some community posts about it live, but you might have missed those as well. My favorite games, well, currently my favorite game, and it has been for quite some time, although I used to not play it for years, is World of Warcraft. And back when I was a child, I played a lot of Nintendo, and my favorite games were mostly Zelda games, and I still really enjoy those. Any quick tips? Quick tips, mainly just go do it. I mean, Blender is all about growing and experiencing more and more, learning more and more, and applying what you get from tutorials to new information and to new projects. It's actually something I'm making a video about, which is to be releasing somewhere early next year, so keep an eye out for that. I do have a noise gate, Thomas. I have no idea what it is. It goes away if I take out my earbuds, I believe. Look, I'll take them out. Now I can't hear the music anymore. And I also don't get any mic feedback from myself, so it's a bit more awkward. However, it should be gone now. Is it gone? Let me know if it is. No, it's not gone. Yeah, I have no idea what it is, guys. I'm sorry. I'll try to get it fixed. It's probably something to do with my audio interface, and maybe I should get a different one. But yeah, it's worse now. Okay, well then I'll plug it back in. The Discord invite is invalid. I'm pretty sure Prince Eagle, if he's still here, can put in a new one in the chat. All right, so we are going to get started. First of all, I want to explain a little bit about the prizes that we have. So we have 3 placements, which is first, second, and third place. And we have several prizes for each level. The first place gets a Polygonic add-on, so major thanks to Polygonic for sponsoring this challenge. They either get they get both the Shaders Plus bundle and the Underwater Caustics, and they get a full Polygonic add-on, so that's crazy. Second place, let me read this here. Oh, they also get a challenge winner roll, so you can flex that you have won a challenge, which is pretty neat as well. Second place, they get a light Polygonic add-on Shaders Plus bundle from Smouse. Again, also major thanks to Smouse for sponsoring this challenge. And they get the runner-up roll, another placement roll, which you can use to just flex in the Discord server. And finally, we have third place, where you get either Renderset or memsaver light and Underwater Caustics. So pretty cool prizes here. Again, that's not the major point of this challenge, but it's a very, very nice bonus, and I hope it was a reason for some of you to participate. All right, so we are going to go into a, there it is, PowerPoint presentation. And, oh, let's switch the screens here. In this one, I have every render there is, and I also have some notes you guys made, so I should be able to sort of see what you guys mentioned about every artwork. Now I can't see chat anymore, so please be gentle with me. It's impossible for me to still see chat. Well, maybe I can actually. Hey, okay, I fixed it. I can still see chat now. All right, so this first artwork is made by Thomas 2. He's in the chat. Give him a shout out. And it's a samurai artwork. I guess it's Japanese inspired. And he mentioned specifically it's definitely winter, but it's not that much Wonderland. Well, the point of these challenges and sort of the prompts that I come up with is to give you freedom. So I hardly ever say something is not within the prompt, unless it would be like summer or something. But in this case, it's fine. You know, you can do whatever as long as it has some sort of winter theme. And the Wonderland part is basically to give you inspiration. So it could be anything as long as it inspires you. It could be part of the Wonderland. I like this art piece. For me, the main feedback I would have here is it could use a little bit more contrast. And maybe the camera could be zoomed out a little bit more. Now I know that means you get to see more of the temple, so you might have to create more for the shot here, but I think it could be zoomed out a little bit more and maybe use a bit more of a fisheye lens. Now we have several other submissions, I believe, that use more of this type of lens. I think sort of getting the fisheye lens in here makes it a bit more dramatic. It sort of enhances the depth of this image. So that would definitely be something I would check out. I agree, David, that the lights might not need to be crisp for a snowy render, but then again, I like it stylistically because it just offers a bit of color contrast for this image, which otherwise would be very gray. But yeah, my main thing here would be to add more contrast. We can, again, take this into Photoshop. I know you guys are a big fan of that. And I can very, very easily just show you what a little bit more contrast would do. This is a Samurai Moki. I think just upping the contrast a little bit makes it a little bit better. as well as maybe adding a bit of vibrancy and lowering the saturation. I mean, it's very subtle, right? But it does make a bit of a change. All right. Great artwork, Thomas. Thank you for your submission. And we are going to move on to the next image. This one is made by Titi, and he or they expressed that this was made inspired by a 3D film, which they felt was so amazing that they wanted to be inside of that scene, so they sort of recreated it. It's fully done in Blender without any other composition. Now, for me, the first thing is I'm kind of scared of clowns and stuff, so it's creepy to me. But having said that, and putting that aside, I feel the color of this image is a bit too yellow and warm. Yeah, it's some sort of clownish ballerina type thing. Gives me sort of Five Nights at Freddy's vibes. Scary stuff. Yeah, so I'm not sure which film this is from, because they didn't say that, but it's inspired by a 3D film at least. So yeah, for me, the main thing here is the color. I feel it's too yellow, or it's almost hinting towards green. And I think if we just take the image and we were to do this in Blender, of course, but we take that and we basically change the color to be more bluish, that would fit the winter theme a little bit more. So we just... And it still keeps somewhat of the warm light in here, which is fine maybe, because it's supposed to be, you know, yeah, I think this color works a little bit better, but that might just be my personal preference. So yeah, a color change is an easy fix here. Also, I would have, by the way, this wall here is sort of not inside of the ground, so it's hovering above the ground. But I would have taken this wall over here and put it more into the foreground, which now might be hard to do. Like this, or we just slightly put it more in the foreground. And what we can do also is give it a bit of a blur here, just to get some depth of field going on. It's a very easy trick to just make your images come alive a little bit more, right? So obviously this is too much. Might also need to be darker now because it's in the foreground and it's not catching as much light. Oh, that's the wrong one. Yep, that's the right one. Now I get the edges here very sharp because I didn't give it a nice cut, but this way you create a little bit more of a depth of field going on. Yes, you got some ads. Thank you for supporting the channel, Pancito. All right, so another great submission. Thank you for submitting, Titi, and we are going to move on to the next one to keep things going. The next one is this snow globe made by D and King. Yes, you are allowed to use Photoshop or something else to change the colors. You don't have to solely use Blender. Yeah, too dark, Lime. You're not wrong. My main feedback for this is twofold. So for one, the snow is a bit distracting. It's blue, which is also kind of weird for snow. So I would have made that white and maybe given a focal point with depth of field on the snow globe, so the snow becomes a little bit more blurry, so it's less distracting. And the second thing I would have done is the cave, the snow globe itself, is just way too dark, and all this hard work, because there seems to be a lot of detail in here. I'm not sure if I can actually zoom in. I can. There seems to be detail in there, but it's completely lost because it's so small and underlit, essentially. So yeah, that's definitely something I would look into. But But overall, great work. I think it's cool because this person expressed they think ice caves are very wondrous elements in nature, which they really are. If you ever look them up on Google, they are very, very amazing things. So it's a good inspiration, and I think the execution in the modeling itself is fine. It's just mainly the render and the lighting that could use a bit of work. They are free to use any model online, Vegeta. My main ask here is that people create an artwork. So that's the total art piece of their own. So if they only do lighting and do kit bashing, that's fine. No, your questions are fine. All right, moving on to the next. This piece, I think, is looking very, very cool. It's made by Abi, your pal. Yeah, using blending kit is totally fine. Basically using any asset as long as you're allowed to use it, of course. I mean, you can't steal stuff, but as long as you're allowed to use it, so it's fair use, then yeah, go ahead. I don't mind. Again, I care about the final artwork, not the way you did it specifically. I think this is very cool. The tree looks amazing and it looks so good. I would like to see a little bit more of it. So again, maybe just zooming in a little bit on that. This is too much, obviously. I don't have that much flexibility in PowerPoint, but maybe zooming in a little bit more, lowering the camera a little bit so we get less of this empty space, which doesn't mean anything, and we get more of this hard work that you put in over here. That's my main feedback for this one. And also it feels a little bit noisy. I get that sometimes you guys don't have the hardware to really, you know, crank up the sample count here, but in that case I would either try and check on the Discord if somebody else could maybe render it for you, or if you could use like Hhkkh or another render farm, just to make sure you get the highest quality image possible. In this case, Olaf, I think it's not too dark. Maybe it might be a little bit worse because of YouTube compression, but in my case, I think it's fine. The tree is the focal point, and it puts out enough light to sort of highlight these mountain shapes here, and I think it's fine. Hhkkh is an online render farm, okay? If you join the Discord, there's a whole dedicated channel for it, and there are some enthusiastic people who can explain better than I can. All right, moving on to the next one. This one is made by Kirox, and it's another very cool piece, another very unique take. Their comment here was an enchanting ice-clad forest brimming with wonders that stretch to the distant horizon. I see the wonders, I see the ice-clad forest, and that's all very, very cool. The main thing that I don't see that you talk about is the distant horizon. So in this case, you might need to change the camera angle, have it be more above the ground and sort of further away, where we can see more of that distant horizon and create that feeling of loneliness and this little robot being there and sort of exploring this alien world all on its own. Yeah, that would be my main feedback for this one. Overall, I think the colors are fine. The moon looks cool. Trees look fine. Composition is fine. It's just that from like a storytelling perspective, I would maybe zoom out a little bit more, create a little bit more area around this robot and sort of emphasize its loneliness in this area. Yeah, a new chapter for Wally, exactly. Great submission for sure. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one, made by KV3D. I use this one for the thumbnail, so you might recognize it as well. This is an amazing art piece. This is actually a good example. This is a kit bashed art piece for you know, a large part. He used some mega scans from Polyhaven, some stuff. So I believe the castle is also used in Creative Commons, and that's fine. I mean, I only care about this amazing art piece, and if you need to use some kit bashed assets to get that, I love it. You know, I don't care. Yo, Ralph. I remember you also made an artwork, Ralph. I'm not sure if we already covered it. I don't think so. It's coming up. My main feedback for this one, it could use a little bit more contrast. I actually did that for the thumbnail as well. So let's just take this into Photoshop real quick. More contrast. Boom. Just upping the contrast. Just check out the difference. It's crazy how much contrast can do. And it's also something that a lot of people go too low on. You know, I'd rather have you go a little bit harder on contrast than underdoing it, essentially. And we can also up the vibrancy. But to compensate for that, we're gonna take down the saturation because this needs to be a winterscape and not some blue avatar world or something. So boom, minor change makes all the difference. And finally, what I would do, which is a bit hard to do very easily here, but I would add a blur. Let's see if we can do that somewhere here. I believe the new camera raw filter actually does it as well. Yeah, there you go. Let's see what it does. Ooh, okay, so we can, this is pretty amazing, by the way. If you use Photoshop, you can now just use the camera raw filter to add in depth of field after rendering. So you can just, I can set the focal point to be the castle here, and it automatically knows what it needs to sort of blur. Now this isn't perfect, but basically what I would have done is all these foreground elements on the side here. You can blur those up. It just makes the way the camera feels a bit more natural because there's a focus on something which is very, very far away. And it also makes you feel like you're sort of creeping in a little bit on this image, so it makes it more mysterious. You feel like a bit of an outsider looking through this forced opening towards this amazing castle. Again, amazing art piece. I really love this one, and it's absolutely a contender for being a placement. All right, so we're gonna go on to the next one. This is made by Mr. GR or MRGR. Not sure how to pronounce that, but it's a cabin in the snow, a secret to behold, a refuge from the cold, a place of warmth and gold. Now, I think that sort of captures this entire thing. Looks really good. I love the reflections of the aurora on the ice. And I also really like the way the vegetation looks and the cabin looks in there. The main sort of thing that detracts for me is the mountains. They look a little bit low res compared to the rest of the image. And also I feel like it doesn't need the mountains, right? This is supposed to be a sort of a lonely cabin in the middle of nothing. Yeah, the emptier the image is in this case, the better, I feel. I understand what you mean, Olaf. It does feel a little bit weird maybe, but then again, if you look up some modern Norwegian house on a fjord, it could definitely look like that. So maybe the rest of the image feels a little bit too fantasy-like to fit with the theme of the house, but then again, I think this could actually almost look exactly like this in real life in Norway or something. Yo, Blenderman, good to see you. I love this submission for sure. It has great color. Aurora looks great, so good submission. Main takeout, just remove the mountains. This next one is done by Zuza, and he doesn't really have any input on it besides that he was really happy with it. So it's a unique take. For me, this doesn't scream winter, nor does it scream Wonderland per se. What I would do to make that a little bit better, I'm sorry, Vencito. I think YouTube thinks you really like ads or something. I'm sorry about that. What I would do for this one though is maybe turn the water into ice to sort of further strengthen the winter theme. And one thing that kind of bothers me is the horizon here. Now I know this is a major pain in Blender because if you stretch out an object, you need to stretch it almost to infinity before the horizon is covered. But you can easily fix that by either adding in some fog, maybe using a mist pass and just comping in a little bit of depth there so it sort of fades out a little bit more gradually. Or you can just lower the camera, have it closer to the water, or in ice in this case I think it should be, but have just closer to the ground and looking up a little bit more so you don't see this horizon line. Also, it could be upwards, right? It could be from above, sort of isometric view down on this object. I think the object itself is really cool. HDRI looks cool as well. So it's a very unique take for sure. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. We're almost half an hour in and we've gotten 8 done of all 43 submissions. So we need to keep up the pace here. Should there be clouds? That's a good question. Obviously, I'm no meteorologist or something. What's it called? I don't know weather, but I guess if there's water in some form, whether that's ice or snow or just regular water, there's clouds because the sun will always have sort of an effect on water and create new clouds. But I think stylistically you could get them out of the shot, but I would feel it's a bit too blue then. I think the clouds add a nice touch of white, which sort of balances out the image. Yeah, it would look a little bit too boring without clouds, I agree. All right, so we're gonna move on to this next one made by Peter B. Peter B in the chat, now called Shenra Fonda. Give him a shout out. All right, so they said the following: after a long journey through the whole year, it's time to come home and rest where the family waits. It's Christmas time and I wish you all Merry Christmas. Well, thank you, and Merry Christmas to you too. I think it's a great image. I like the idea of the bridge, sort of the final hurdle you need to cross to get to where you need to be, which in this case is your family waiting home for you for Christmas. So it sends a really nice message. What I personally would have done, first of all, is change the camera angle slightly. So I would have taken the camera, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse actually, but basically where my face now is, I would have put the camera over there and just sort of aimed at those 3 buildings here, because it sort of further strengthens that story, right, of this final hurdle, this final bridge that needs to be crossed to get there. And besides that, I feel the colors, I think you use like a setting sun, so like a sun that's almost gone down, which gives the golden hour look, but the golden hour look in winter is just not the same warmth as it has in summer. So I feel it's a bit too warm. There is snow on the bridge. Okay, there is snow. It's just not very visible, but it's there for sure. So obviously I can change the camera angle, but what I would do is overall the color tone I would make more bluish. Again, we're talking winter here, even though there is a sunset. Just making it more bluish. Something like that. And it could maybe use some extra light in that case. Yeah, I mean, some subtle changes here, but I think it sort of makes the color a little bit more realistic. I think there is an HDRI. By the looks of it, it's probably Physical Starlight Atmosphere, the add-on. I understand the warmth because of Christmas, but I feel the warmth comes from these houses, right? So especially if we now take like an orangey color and make these lights orange. I mean, very roughly done, but you guys get the point, right? We can add the warmth there, so it just adds to the story again, right? So this is the warm place that you can go to, your home. All right, great submission, and we're gonna move on to the next one. All right, so this is a piece by Seb, and he says the following: after exploring, I ended up making a fishing scene, which is a wondrous fishing scene. And he made almost everything himself, so that's really good. Funny thing, he made a almost realistic fishing rod there, but it's a great model, but it's just hard to tell how good it is because of the distance. I really like the color and the vibe of this image, especially the ice lake gives off a very nice glow, so that's really cool looking. My main feedback point here would be something to do with skill. So for one, the house on the left feels a little bit too small. But somehow I get the feeling that this person wouldn't be able to fit through the door. And the other thing is these trees. This tree line feels huge. Incredibly big. The Aurora is not an image texture. I know for a fact that Seb actually created his own tool, a geometry nodes based tool, I believe, to make these auroras. So he actually painted them in himself. But yeah, these trees, they just feel too big, which sort of messes up the skill in my mind, and therefore the entire image gets a weird skill. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I would always make sure that whenever you do these types of renders, that everything inside of your render is true to life scale, just so everything matches up perfectly. If the guy is like 2 meters, then make sure the trees are like 10, 12, maybe 20 if they're really big trees, but you know, 10, 12 meters or something. I don't know what that is in funny units that Americans use, but 10 to 12 meters or something for a tree would be good. These feel just too big. Overall though, really good image. There's something fun going on here with this magical swirl and this glowing fish that's being caught. Yeah, so for me, David Charles in this case, there's multiple Davids. No, you already have enough depth of field, Seb, so I don't think you need depth of field. I think your image basically has everything it needs. The color looks good, composition is good, it's just that the skill feels a little bit off. It's actually a very simple fix. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. This one is made by Aza Dream. They basically just said they made it in Blender and post-processed it in Photoshop. Yeah, if you do change it up, Sebastian, do make sure, you know, to just send it over again in the Discord server. That goes for all of you, by the way. If some of the feedback feels like something you want to include in your render, please do. It's not going to change the outcome for this, but you know, it's always good to see what you do with the feedback and use it to improve your images. yeah, so this is a really cool piece. In this case, I really like the way this looks, right? So there's a lot of trees which look great. They all have snow. It's amazing. It's a very snowy landscape. Really sells the wintry feel. The Wonderland thing is maybe a little bit underwhelming in this case, but then again, you know, these mountains full of houses feel pretty cool. I would have added maybe 1 or 2 with some lights in them. That would be nice. And that's basically because this entire image feels a little bit too blue maybe now. It's just one image of blue. The tree do look a little bit repetitious, I agree. But then again, you know, it's really hard to find good tree assets and enough of them as well to give variation. So I don't blame them for that. Overall, I just, you know, I feel like this could use a little bit more contrast in terms of like differentiating colors. Cool piece though, for sure. The sort of the fading of the mountains and the way sort of the world fades into the horizon back there, that's really good. All right, so we're gonna move on to this next one by Webo 30. It's a really cool piece. And they said the following: for me, a wonderland is something mystical. What's more mystical than a dragon? Well, to me anyway. Well, I get that dragons are pretty mystical. So their question is, and you know, go ahead and answer that for them. Is the dragon attacking or defending the castle? That's a good way to handle your artworks, by the way. Just pose a question to your viewer, which will automatically make them look at your image, think about it, process it, you know, take it in. Depth of field is missing maybe a little bit. Maybe the mill figure could be slightly more blurred out to create a little bit of depth of field. However, what this person did very well compared to the previous one is they added in some contrasting colors, right? So just the flames, both from the dragon and the sword, you get a complementary color in there. You get a complementary color scheme, which is orange and blue. Very commonly used, but it's commonly used because it works. So yeah, that's a great way of getting in some extra color. And then also the aurora in the back, which is slightly green. So there's a nice variation of color without being too distracting. Yeah, I think this is a great submission. Also one of the contenders, I think, for one of the prizes. It does feel like a scene from Skyrim, for sure. And that's a good thing. Skyrim is amazing. All right, so we're gonna move on to this next image made by Star. They said the following: giving Christmas gifts to dragons. And that's the vibe they wanted to go for, but they settled on worrying about the Wonderland part instead. So I let the neighbors be a more nebulous cave dwelling creature concept. To me, first of all, it's quite dark, the entire image, which, you know, a lot of Blender users tend to, or I mean, artists in general tend to make night scenes too dark because there's no light, right? But there's always light. There's stars, there's moonlight. In this case, there's a huge aurora, so having a night scene be more lit up is not a bad thing. There's a very cute character here. Let me zoom in on that. And they probably spent quite a bit of time making that character. So why not make that like the real focal point, right? Make this light stronger, add some volumetrics, maybe zoom in, change the camera angle, have the character be sort of the center of frame. Obviously using the rule of thirds and stuff. This sort of Christmassy tree above there could still be somewhat in frame. It doesn't need to be entirely in frame. But yeah, something like this with some very strong light coming from here, so it's sort of obvious that this character is trying to go inside, would make this image a lot better in my opinion. The character looks really fun though. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. This one is made by Knuckles, and it was inspired by Monster Hunter, which is a video game for those of you that don't know it. I have played a little bit of Monster Hunter, but not that much. It does give Monster Hunter vibes. That's really cool. Again, I feel like this image is a little bit too dark. Let's see. I'm not sure if they made the monster themselves, but if they did, then it's really good. What I would do in this case is you can keep the image this dark, right? Because it can be scary and ominous, that's fine. But what you could do is by taking like some moonlight or something and having it sort of highlight the monster and its shape. Because now sort of the shape of this thing is lost and you can't really tell how big it is. But if you have these sort of subtle changes, you can really help emphasize the shape of this monster. And similarly for this character, right? Because it's now sort of lost in the silhouette of the monster. And this could just be like the moonlight sort of catching it. Just this one change and having it be with like sort of beams of light, you know, maybe some volumetric beams of light like that. There's obviously some trees here, so it could just be moonlight coming through the leaves. It's you know, it's not great in Photoshop, but you guys probably get the point, right? Very, very easy change just to add in a little bit more light here. Enhance the silhouette of the character, enhance the silhouette of the monster. And for the rest, I think this image is perfect. All right, great submission again. Thank you, Knuckles. And we're gonna move on to the next one, which was made by Patreon Tech Supervisor, which is a weird name. I hope he's not my Patreon Tech Supervisor, but maybe he is, who knows. Obviously, this is very heavily inspired by, what's it called, Polar Express or something, the movie. I think it's a really cool image. For me, there's not a whole lot I would change about this one, honestly. There's maybe two things. For one, this train is sliding across the ice, which looks really cool because you also get the reflections in the ice. But it could use a little bit more motion blur, especially on the parts which are not the main focus of the image. So these back parts, the wagons over here, maybe over here on the side a little bit. You could add a little bit more stronger motion blur just to sell the motion of this thing gliding across the ice a little bit more. And the other thing is, I feel like it doesn't need the mountains. Maybe that's from the movie, I'm not sure, but the mountains could just, you know, this could just be a huge ice lake with no visible ending. And I would feel like that puts a little bit more emphasis on the actual train here. Really cool. Love the character up here as well. This is a great example, by the way, compared to the previous one. This character over here is being lit as well, which makes it so you can actually see it, because if it wouldn't be lit, the character is blue, the background is blue, character is lost. Simple highlight with a reddish light, which just comes from like the engine or something. It makes a lot of sense, works perfectly. Job well done, love this one. Another contender in my opinion. This next piece is made by Hhkkh, and is a very, very Wonderland themed image. They said I use Blender, After Effects for probably compositing a little bit, and yeah, I feel this image looks pretty good. I like the composition. I think the camera angle is fine. There's not a whole lot I would change. Maybe the trees and the lights inside of the trees are a bit too much. You know, make it like 50% of what it is right now. Not in strength, but just in sheer amount. Hello, Hornman69. You have some weird names going on everywhere. Great submission, by the way. Loved it. The lighting is great in this one. It feels nice, although it might be a little bit too green, in my opinion. And green, like naturally speaking, green is a color we associate with either nature. But once you cross that sort of border of it just being trees and foliage, green oftentimes becomes poisonous, alien, colors which you don't necessarily want in a Winter Wonderland themed image. So maybe in this case I would just say take it to the warmer range. Let's see if we can do that. The Aurora is fine, right? We can keep that. Yeah, I think this is a lot more natural. So we just took a little bit of the greens inside here. We still have the greens from the Aurora in the back. I think this feels a little bit more natural. By the way, one of the major things, and I'll be covering that in an upcoming video actually, is whenever you do these types of artworks, you should always be using color schemes. And color schemes, you can find them online as well, but what I mainly use by that is using stuff like complementary colors, monochromatic colors, triadic colors. And by using those types of color schemes, you automatically create a balanced and natural feeling image that people recognize and feel comfortable with. So whenever you do these artworks, keep that in mind. All right, next one. This was made by Puttison. It's a very, very different approach. They don't really explain much about it besides saying, hope she finds a way to go back to where she came from. Obviously, we're in some sort of celestial place here with a bunch of gates. I don't get a strong winter vibe from this. It does feel wondrous. Not per se Wonderland, but it does feel wondrous. But not a strong winter vibe for me. Having said that, I do like the way these tones look, the way this sort of area looks. A very sort of divine place. My main feedback here is they also had this renders like without compositing, and it just looks a little bit better because the colors feel more natural, and there's a whole lot of chromatic aberration going on. You can see over here. You can see it over here. We've all been there. Chromatic aberration is one of those things that when you start out using Blender and you're like still learning a lot, it feels good to add chromatic aberration. Makes it look special and more interesting. However, chromatic aberration feels very unnatural in the end. So I would say lower the chromatic aberration. Make it as low as possible. Do use it because cameras naturally have chromatic aberration, but use it very, very sparsely, very low strength, 0.001 kind of stuff. Oh yeah, and a nerd, you should definitely participate. It doesn't matter what skill level you are at. We're here to learn, we're here to grow, so definitely do participate in the next one. We're gonna move on to this next piece by Mr. Tuners. They say, hey everyone, here's my post for the challenge. It's my first time using Blender, was using other software before, and I used Blender Kit Snowify. I did a snow globe that I had when I was little for Christmas. First of all, welcome to the Blender gang. Everybody else, you know, welcome Mr. Tuners to the Blender gang. Always good to have new Blender users in here. And I like the idea, right? You had this snow globe when you were a child. Amazing. Love that. That's the perfect story for any artwork, basically. What I find a little bit weird here is that you decided to not include the entire snow globe into the image. And there is some refraction going on, which makes this look kind of weird, right? And if you've ever seen snow globes, they do get a little bit of that, but it's not like it's a glass orb. It has something else going on, which makes sure you don't get all that refraction. So there's too much distortion inside here. You can just change the IOR of this glass to fix that. But otherwise, yeah, great piece. I would, you know, make the background maybe a little bit darker, shine a stronger light on here, put it center of frame, have the entire thing in there. Maybe change the camera a little bit, zoom out a little bit more. But overall, great piece. Oh, and also these lights, you could make those more orange as well. Again, green feels somewhat sort of evil and toxic, and warm tones for lights feel natural. We've known those for thousands of years through fire and candlelight and stuff like that. So that feels natural to us. Next one. All right, so this next one is made by Bayek. I still don't know how to pronounce his name. He's my mod, but I have no idea. It's a great piece. There's not that much he explained about it, just that he struggles with winter pieces. I don't see it. Looks great to me. Love this one. I like the dog, the girl sitting on the sort of dock over here with the boat. It just feels great. The only thing I would maybe change is changing the focal length of the camera slightly, zooming out a little bit more again, going slightly more towards that fisheye effect, which sort of further strengthens this feeling of this woman and her dog sitting alone on this boat dock in the middle of nowhere in a snowy environment. So I would do that. And maybe the light of the sun could be a little bit colder as well. But then again, golden hour vibes. In this case, the light is a lot less warm than it was in the other image. So it works better. Well done, great art piece. And we're gonna move on to the next one, which was made by 3D Hand. I mean, it's Winter Wonderland, right? It even says it over here. I think this has some good vibes going on. Why? Because we get nice color combinations of purple and orange. Again, these are complementary colors. Is it a man? Maybe with a man bun. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It's a person. Let's keep it at that. Anyways, so this art piece, I think it's really cool. I'm not sure really what the story behind it is, but you get this sort of Winter Wonderland, like a theme park, or maybe it's like a place you need to go visit. I like the dog here on the road. Colors look great. Depth of field is great. Yeah, I mean, overall, this is a great submission. For me, the main thing that I sort of wonder about, it's not even that I have an issue with it, it's just I wonder about it, is what's this guy doing sort of looking like this? That's kind of weird to say, right? But I mean, he feels stylistically different from the rest of the image. Like he should be in Skyrim or something, and this feels more like, I don't know, a happy Pixar family or something. I'm not gonna do polls this time, Tsuki. I'm gonna just do actual choices myself. Yeah, it feels a little bit off because this feels like a medieval knight, and just this has more of a fantasy warm feeling to it. Maybe that's also because of the letters here. Without it, maybe you wouldn't have that idea, but overall it's a good looking image, so well done. I don't think the flame is a texture. No, doesn't look like it. It's just that part of the animation. All right, so we're gonna move on to this next one, and this one is another contender for sure. It's made by Trey Cochran 3D, and they said the following: my goal here was to make an ancient snowflake clock that controls the winter season. He also added, or they also added, some backstory. By the way, that's also always good to do, right? Give us some backstory, which helps sell your image. So the backstory in this case is, in a realm where winter reigned supreme, an ancient civilization revered the magical properties of the snowflake clock, a celestial timepiece that controlled winter. There's more, but I recommend reading that from the Discord. Oh, that's good to know, MyTube. So MyTube just said that most and close to all modern lenses and cameras can remove chromatic aberration completely or reduce it to practical invisibility. So yeah, chromatic aberration means you're living in the past, I guess. Although I do still like it stylistically, right? But yeah, this is a really cool piece. I don't really have feedback besides that, and I'm gonna try and grab that real quick, is they also had their submission without the Photoshop edit. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. All right, so here's the image with, oh. So it's not letting me do that. Come on, work with me here, computer. Save image, we're gonna do it like that. Needs to be done the hard way, apparently. Yeah, so this is the image without any edits, and I feel it looks a little bit better compared to this one. I think this one is a little bit over edited. The snow and the noise in here make it more messy than it needs to be, maybe. And I like this one a little bit better, but that's just my opinion here. Lil Sika, that the challenge was on the Discord server. I mentioned it a couple of times on my YouTube community post, but you might have missed those. But make sure to join the Discord server. I will post a link to it both in the video description afterwards, after the stream, and I will also post it in chat nearing the end. So make sure to join the Discord server for to make sure you can join in on the next challenge. Amazing art piece, absolutely one of my favorites. And we're gonna move on to the next one. This one was made by, how would you say that? Hhkkh? Hhkkh. I'm gonna go with Hhkkh. I really like this one. It reminds me of some of my favorite games from like 10 years ago, like Fallout or BioShock. Mainly because of the font and the color scheme here. I think this is a great example of a triadic color scheme. So that's using three main colors, blue, yellow, and red, which are all complementary colors of each other. And it just works immediately, it just works. I love this image. Basically nothing I would change. I believe they didn't have a story, or oh, they did. Okay, so the story is as follows. Throughout the last 20 years, there have been several disappearances on a town nearby the mountains. No one has ever had the guts to search for none of them, for some of them, I guess. Until now, someone or something took my daughter and left no trace behind. When I decided to start this investigation, I never thought I would find something like this. Now I will have to offer my soul to them if I want my little sweetheart back. So I finally finished. Okay, so that's it. Yeah. I think it's really cool. Love it. Great work. And I hope you keep on submitting artworks in the next challenges as well. All right, so this next piece is done by Davy Conquisti. I think it's a really cool piece. I love the fog above the water. Although if this is water, it might be a little bit weird because it seems to be cold enough to be ice. If it's ice though, that's fine. But ice usually has a little bit less reflectiveness if it's like lake ice. Just because there's a lot of dirt in there as well, and it sort of freezes over, catches some snow, stuff like that. So an icy lake would be less reflective. Great artwork. The trees feel a little bit skinny and repetitive. Again, I understand that finding the right assets can be difficult, but if you win this challenge, you can get a polygonic asset add-on, like for example Botanic, and get access to a bunch of high quality trees. So I mean, for the next submission, the winners will not have any excuses to not have a great variation in foliage. Yeah, I love this image. It's really well done. The mountain feels a little bit low resolution maybe, and the image of the aurora feels weirdly placed. I guess it's an image texture, not an actual HDRI. So maybe that's why. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one, which is done by Jamdrop. They tried to tap into the Wonderland aspect of the challenge and create something which was a little bit bizarre and magical. I think this looks amazing. I love it. It reminds me strongly of Alice in Wonderland. I think that's also the vibe they were going for. Looks really cool. The mossy night piece there in the middle looks amazing. Snow looks good. Depth of field looks good. There's some motion in it somehow. I think the piece is actually sharp. It's just because there's so much going on, it doesn't feel like it, maybe. That's the only negative I actually have for this image, is the centerpiece maybe should entirely be sharp, just because your eye is looking for a focal point to really focus on. But the concept is amazing. Execution is really well done. So great submission. Love it. All right, so this next one is done by Riti. And I believe this is some sort of deity or something which creates the aurora in the sky. I believe that's the story. And I really like this idea. The thing is, for me though, the camera angle feels a little bit off. I don't really get what's going on here because of how the camera is placed. So what I would do, again, this is just my personal opinion, right? So you might disagree here, but what I would do, and I'm gonna show you some of my amazing drawing skills, which you might remember from the last time. What I would do is I would put her still up in the sky, obviously, so she's here with her flute and everything and her fancy hair like that, and the aurora is sort of covering the sky, and we are viewing from down here, right? So here's the trees, something like that, and we are looking up towards her, because that makes it look more epical. Now again, this is just like a side view drawing, so it's not the actual camera placement, but if the camera were to be down here and we would have all these trees here, and the camera would be down here, I think that would look more natural, and it would also explain better what's going on, right? So she's in the sky, she's creating this amazing looking aurora, and we're down here viewing it. A good tip I can give you guys is whenever you place your camera, try to put it into a place where you as the audience feel like you're actually there experiencing it. And there's not a lot of chance that I'm floating in the sky next to this fantasy creature creating an aurora. So it automatically feels weird because I couldn't actually be there experiencing this. I could, however, be in this forest seeing it happen. Yep. All right. Next one. Ooh, I like this one. This one is made by Tio, and they said, in a desolate future where the world teeters on the brink of extinction, a lone survivor seeks refuge in a hidden sanctuary nestled within a breathtaking and otherworldly winter landscape. Did I participate? No, I did not participate. I don't participate in my own challenges. I love this piece. I love the way the water looks, although again, it feels a little bit weird because the water has to be ice, right? But then again, if it's like an otherworldly winter landscape, you could get away with it. The glow is very nice, so maybe it's like a weird water, which we don't have here on Earth. I like the cabin. It's yellow, it draws your eye's attention. It's nice center of frame. The main thing for me is they say it's like a hidden sanctuary and the world is on the brink of extinction, and just to sell that, I would empty out the sky here and remove the mountains and trees. Make it as sort of empty as possible. Let's actually see if we can fix that real quick. And again, this is just to sell your story, right? So the story here is that this is a world on the brink of extinction. There's a lone survivor, and you want to enhance that as much as possible to your audience. So what you want to do is you want to remove as much of the image as possible and only emphasize that which you're trying to explain. So I'm just gonna do a rough cutout here. And we're gonna use Photoshop's generative fill to do where are you, generative fill? Yeah, there you are. Let's see what happens. I only use a mouse, Pancito. It does look kind of like hot spring water, Ralph. And I kind of like that, actually. Okay. I mean, oh yeah, so it's messing up the house, right? But this sort of gets the point across a little bit better. By just having this empty world behind it, I feel like it's a lot more lonely than with the comfort of this sort of mountainscape around it. So the colors aren't right in the sky here. The original colors in the image are way better. But yeah, not having anything, just an extending horizon of nothingness further enhances this feeling of loneliness. All right, moving on to the next one. We're currently at 26 of 43 and we're still right on time, so we're doing great. Oh yeah, so the perspective doesn't match, you're right, Problis, but I mean, that's just because I'm doing this inside a Photoshop with just some hacky methods, but if you're doing this inside a Blender, you should get it properly fixed and it should look absolutely better. All right, so this next piece is done by Phantom. I think this is a really nice piece. They made everything themselves. So it's a cool winter village here. Feels nice and warm. Again, the overall color hue of this image feels somewhat green. So make sure to take out those green tones. Push it into either reds or blues for winter images. Hey, Abby, your pal. We covered your artwork a while back. Thank you for your submission and good to see you here. My main feedback for this one is the trees feel a little bit big. These are coniferous trees and they don't tend to be really huge. So they feel a little bit too large, maybe for the surrounding houses. As well as the water here. Again, I'm assuming this is supposed to be water, and water feels strange here, right? So I would love to see a nice ice material going on here, still catching some of those reflections of these nice warm houses here and lights, but just, you know, not as strongly as this water would. The trees are slightly identical. Again, that's just because, you know, I get it. You don't want to spend 2 weeks of your time modeling trees just to get some variety going. But overall, nice composition. I like the way this is sort of circling around here, so you automatically get all the viewing lines drawing you towards this center sign here, which says Winter Wonderland. So looks pretty cool. The lights, I think, are connected to the tree here, David. They're sort of hung up on the tree, I guess. Yeah, cool submission. And we're gonna move on to this next one. This one was made by It Wasn't Me, and they had a very cool approach by only using voxels, which if you guys ever use that, you can actually just get that using a modifier. I'm not sure if they also use that, but if you use like a, what's it, a remesh modifier, set it to voxel and then use a small density, then you get sort of this look, right? I think it's really cool. It does remind me of Minecraft. It's not Minecraft. Minecraft is just blocks, not voxels per se. But it has a very gamey feeling to it. Overall, I think this image is missing a little bit of sort of depth using light. So what I would have done is maybe created a little bit more separation with a mist pass, making sure this mountain is more inside of the fog all the way, adding in like a light shaft, which sort of highlights this snowman over here. But yeah, simply adding in a little bit more light would change up this image, make it a little bit more interesting to look at, because now it's just, again, a lot of blue with not enough contrast and sort of color variation going on. The text is also not visible, that's true. Maybe like a emission glow in Eevee would fix that or something. But a very cool and unique take on the prompt, so well done. All right, so this next one is done by Jago Export, and they expressed that the deer was created entirely by themselves, and the trees are from Polyhaven. They just added the snow. I think this is really cool. The deer looks amazing, so well done. It's not easy modeling animals. I haven't even tried that myself ever, but I know for a fact it's not easy. Characters are hard to do, and animals even more so. So I think this looks really, really cool. For me, what I kind of find a little bit strange though is that the part which is completely sharp in the image, where the actual focal point is the tree, not the deer. So if I zoom in here, you can see that this part of the tree is sharp and the deer is not. Obviously this could also be sort of part of the storytelling, right? So there's maybe an amateur photographer trying to capture this image of a deer and it's just not fully succeeding at it. But I think aesthetically, I would have liked to see the deer be completely in focus. Overall, love this piece, love the lighting. Could use maybe a little bit more blue instead of these orange tints. But yeah, really well done. Very cool and unique take. All right, so this next one is done by That Casual. And they said, I wanted to submit something, wasn't able to fully finish in time. Wasn't planning on doing a submission, and I got to try a couple of things I've been wanting to. The idea here is that this aurora is coming from fissures in the ground and it's being sucked up by a black hole. I like the idea. For me, the main issue I have with this image is sort of the color, which is all over the place, right? So the black hole is red, the trees are red, the sky is a very vibrant blue, the aurora has several different colors. It's, to me personally, it's just too much different colors for a clear, readable image. The concept is fine, just the execution needs a bit more work. But then again, they also expressed that they didn't have much time to do this. Nah, the black hole is just really big. Probably this is not closer, it's just really, really big. Oh, and also there's some clipping going on here where you can actually see the edge of the ground piece they used over here. So yeah, maybe next time with a little bit more effort, you know, try thinking of a color scheme for your image and maybe change up the camera angle slightly and it would be a completely different image already. All right, so this next piece is done by Dragon Hunter 55. And I think it's really cool. I mean, I haven't played Cyberpunk 2077, but I guess this is what Cyberpunk 2077 would look like if they had winter and an actual playable game. Oops. I guess they won't sponsor me anymore. Anyways, yeah, there is a lot of fog here and a lot of glow, but I kind of like that. It feels like one of those very foggy winter nights where there's just a lot of fog going on. You're in this big neon city. Everything is bright and screaming at you. I like it. And I think it's, I remember their artwork from the previous challenge. I think it's a major step up, so well done, for sure. Oh, is it? They fixed it? Okay, well, I'll take it back. Cyberpunk's actually fine now. Yeah, cool piece. Cool car as well, by the way. Very futuristic. All right, so this next one is done by John Lemon. And I believe it's called something like Calling for Help. And my assumption is they took major inspiration from Lord of the Rings. So over here is a person lighting some sort of flame, calling for help. Oh, and I really get what they're trying to do here, but the image is just not readable enough. I like the concept, I like the idea of it, but the snow feels huge and the mountains feel sort of weirdly spiky, and the light and the haze of the light sort of take away from the image here. So I would have made the camera somewhere else, making sure that this is actually the focal point, because now the sky is the focal point. But yeah, having that be the focal point of the image, and yeah, basically just using smaller assets, right? So having actual proper mountains in there. I think they went the route of adding in actual snow, and you don't necessarily need to do that. I believe KV3D, who made the amazing castle, made a snow shader, which I saw a lot of you guys used. And you can just use that to sort of add material snow, which doesn't actually require geometry, and that's a lot easier in your computer. So you could have used something like that on some actual mountain assets. I like the concept here, just think the execution could use a little bit more work. All right, next one, made by Liquid Fortress. They said, this is my submission for Winter Wonderland. Terrain is made with true terrain. Sky is done with true sky. I made the dire wolf myself. The dire wolf's actually really cool, but I guess you guys can't really see that very clearly because it's just underlit. So what I would have done, first of all, is crop the image. Something like this would have worked just fine, right? All the other stuff around it, we don't really need that. But this is actually a really cool model. So again, what we're gonna do, pretty similar actually to the Monster Hunter one by Knuckles, is we're just gonna take a color which sort of represents the color scheme of the image, something like that. And we're just gonna highlight, because it has all these cool spikes as well, right? And by simply highlighting the monster, the wolf, we can really emphasize it being there. Now this doesn't look great, I know. It's just to explain my point here. Overall, the image could be brighter as well, more contrast. Maybe even brighter. Still, that will work just fine. So make the image a little bit brighter, basically the theme of the last challenge. Up the brightness and don't lose all your detail. And highlight this amazing model that you did and spend all your time on by adding in some rim lighting. Pretty cool. And we're gonna move on to the next one. This one is done by Haider Ali, which is actually the winner of the last challenge, as you may remember. Again, an amazing submission. Looks really cool. I recognize this. Seems to be sort of the same statue that he used for the Jungle Fortress one as well. Maybe not though, but it does look very similar to me. But yeah, I mean, great composition. Here's a good example, right? So we have one major focal point, which is basically the temple here. We have sort of this lines leading towards it here, with more light shining on the temple. And finally, we have this foreground element here with a character looking at the temple, which is also being lit. So there is a nice definition of silhouette going on for the character. Yeah, I mean, it's a great piece. Another contender in my opinion again. All right, so this next one is done by a Lime. And I believe it's High Hrothgar from the game Skyrim. Or maybe I should just say like the Elder Scrolls stuff. Yeah, I think it's a really cool piece. And the funny thing is they added sort of this effect which makes it look all painterly. And that actually makes it look better than the actual render because it sort of makes it look like a concept art. Make it a little bit blue. Nah, this one is fine actually. The color is fine in this one. Looks good. I mean, the painterly effect is nice as well. It adds a nice touch. Yeah, it really looks like a good concept art piece. Dragons look cool in the distance as well. Yeah, sorry, not so much, frankly. Yeah, I love this game, Skyrim, so good vibes as well. I believe this is where you get like your first shout, right? Like Fusroda. Get to shout those monks up the mountain. It's pretty cool. All right, so this next one is done by Dr. Define, and they said the following: first time making a complicated car on my own. It's a cool piece. I like the composition of it. I think if sort of the car is like the focal point of your image here, like the thing you want to highlight, you could maybe make it more the focal point. This branch over here with some of the leaves is sort of distracting a little bit from it because it's a foreground element and it's also in front of your main focal point, which is I'm not sure if it's a rule, but it's definitely something I recommend not doing, having foreground elements block out your focal point. But it's a cool image. I get definite winter vibes from it. Wonderland a little bit less, but overall it's a really cool piece. Well done. Ooh, yeah, this next one is really good. It's a shame they forgot that the submission criteria was to use landscape images. So unfortunately, they cannot actually contend for the prizes. Otherwise, I probably would have chosen this one as the winner because it's really, really good. The composition is amazing. You know, there's a clear spherical composition going on where everything is sort of drawing you into the center of the image. Snow looks great, grass looks great, this sled over here looks amazing, the lighting is great, this deer thing looks amazing, there's clear definition on the character looking at the deer, there's a story going on, and it definitely feels magical and wondrous, which really fits the theme of Winter Wonderland. This is out because the criteria for this challenge and for the previous one as well is to deliver a 16:9 or regular full HD image, 1920 x 1080 pixels. And just to keep things fair, we have to exclude everybody who doesn't, you know, conform to those rules. So even though this is an amazing art piece, it can't win a prize, sorry. But yeah, this might be my favorite submission overall. Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. I'm just gonna go back to it real quick. Not so much, frankly, said, reminds me of the covers of the fantasy books I read. Or read, actually. But still, yes. You know, I could see a title up here, the author down here, and it would be a perfect book cover for some fantasy book. Like Chronicles of Narnia 4. I don't know. Really good. All right, so this next one is done by Druff, and they said the following: everything in this scene is made in Blender with Eevee render engine. Every material used is procedurally made in Blender. Image of Aurora used is taken from Google. I like this. For me, what they clearly try to do here is sort of guide our eyes as the audience, right? So they put in these walls here, and they try to sort of lead your eyes towards this castle over here. It's a bit too much though, so probably what could have been done here, let me take another screenshot, is instead of doing it like that, we could have zoomed in a little bit more, just so this doesn't take as much space in the image, because this is now like half of the image is just these dark walls. And then you could probably have put in a little bit more light on here, so again, oops, sort of emphasizing the shape of this castle. Maybe do it from a different direction, right? So the aurora is actually lighting up the scene. Something like that, just to highlight the shape of some of these things and take them sort of make them more visible opposed to the background of the mountains. Yeah, you could add a little bit more variation in the mountains as well. Maybe add some more snow in there, again using the shader from KF3D or KV3D, which is actually free. So if you're on the Discord, check out his submission, and he's putting it out for free. And it's an amazing tool just to add snow to anything, basically. All right, cool submission, and we're gonna move on to number 39, which is made by Rainix. And they said the following: I hesitated with several ideas, but didn't manage to go all the way. But at the beginning of the week, I went for a walk not far from my home in the center of Strasbourg. Strasbourg is considered to be the capital of Christmas, and every year the city organizes a gigantic Christmas market. Well, I just went to visit Germany the other week. I went to Düsseldorf, and I can tell you, yes, that's exactly what a German Christmas market looks like. It looks very vibrant and fun and warm and welcoming. You know, makes you want to drink some glue wine. So I think this is a pretty cool piece. In this case, I would say the warmth of the image is fine, because you now get a lot of unnatural warmth from the buildings and the people. So the fact that there's a lot of warm light works perfectly for me. The ornaments in the tree, I mean, those look pretty good. I would have personally just went with a reflective, normal Christmas ornaments, but I think they're fine. I think it's a pretty cool submission, and it's fun because of all the characters as well, right? Makes it come alive. And it's huge, but they do have like huge Christmas trees in Germany on these Christmas markets, like as tall as a building. It's crazy. Cool submission. Yep. We're gonna move on to number 40. This one is done by Hhkkh, and I really like this one. It's amazing. It's like perfectly composited with the foreground element of the deer, looking at this castle, which is magical and amazing in the mountains. The color is amazing. The color contrast is amazing as well. And in this case, you know, there's a lot of mountains still going in the back here, and they're sort of fading away, but I really like the fact that it's very bright here. So all of this is there, and it's still visible, but it's not distracting from sort of the story here. Also, there's this mountain on the left side, nicely balancing out this entire image. Yeah, it's a 3D image for sure. My main feedback for this one is the repetition in the trees. Again, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of that because I explained it a couple of times already, right? So it's hard to find enough variation in trees. But overall, love this image, one of my favorites. be from a horror film, Renderset's Hacking Town. Yeah, I mean, Rudolph gets his revenge or something, right? Could be, I guess. Maybe it's a video game where you just play as a reindeer and attack medieval castles. Really pretty funny, right? How to animate a flying cloth simulation ghost. Whew. I mean, simulation stuff is hard in Blender, but I would just take an orb, like a sphere, put some cloth on it, have it animate, move the sphere around, use it as a collision so the cloth moves along with it, and then you can just sort of remove the sphere from the camera by making sure it's not visible to the camera, but it's still in the scene, and sort of modifying the cloth. And then with the proper settings for the cloth, you will probably get something close to that. And yes, like Lime said, if you do have an option, please use Houdini. I can imagine, Gustavo. I mean, I like winter a little bit better than summer personally, so it's good to see snow as well. I'd love to visit the snow as well. We don't get a lot of snow anymore in the Netherlands, sadly. Good afternoon, Kundien. All right, so great piece, great composition, and absolutely one of my favorites. And we're gonna move on to number 41, which is made by Brachy or Bracky. And I think this is really cute. They said the following: I put together a small cozy winter scene, modeled, sculpted, and textured everything myself in Blender. And they used some courses from people like Grant Abbott, Ryan King Art, and some more. We already saw your submission, Hader Ali. It was a while back. But yeah, this is really cute. I really like this piece. This is a good example, by the way. You can clearly see this is ice. It's still reflective, but it's definitely different from water. It could use maybe a little bit more roughness still, but overall, love the fact that there's actual ice in here. I think this is a very unique render, very unique look compared to all the other ones. And I don't know, it gives me great sort of Pixar movie vibes. It makes me happy, basically. Yo, evening, it's Rulin. You missed it, yeah. Well, we discussed it like for a good while, maybe 10 minutes back. That's... It's cartooning, yeah, it is cartooning. Yeah, I haven't really offered any proper feedback for this one. That's basically because I don't have any. I think the lighting is good, the color tones are good. There's blue for the winter feeling, there's warmth from the houses. So maybe the one thing I would have done is zoomed out slightly more, just to grab a little bit more area around it. But then again, you also have to make that area in Blender. But I think it would be nice to get more of a feeling of these two cute little houses being there besides this lake, maybe in a very fast, empty world. I think the trees are sort of sculpted, yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe iSculpt can answer that, but they feel sculpted for sure. Cool, yeah, they actually sculpted them. That's amazing. Well done. Great submission. And then we have number 42 by Mr. Or I'm not sure if it's a Mr. I assumed it was. That's bad. By Gu Serrano, I believe. Gustavo Serrano is in the chat. I really like this one. It's very, very different from all the other ones. They said the following: sharing my efforts into NPR style. I imagined the Santa's house if he was a real person, where he rests alone after all the work is done. I think this is really cool, right? It's, I think, a testimony to what Blender can do. basically all these renders are. There's such a variance of styles that we got going on, and all of that is possible inside of Blender. So that's amazing. And I, for one, but I hope you guys are too, I'm truly grateful that we get access to such an amazing tool that allows us all to do these things for free. So big thanks to Blender for that. Yeah, this is, yeah, grease pencil. I would have assumed it was grease pencil. Maybe some line art modifier stuff as well. And it looks really cool. Very unique take. Well done. Oh, Goo Engine, okay. So for those of you who don't know, Goo Engine is like a branch version of Blender that's done by Dylan Goo, and Dylan Goo is someone who is known for these anime style animations and renders done in Blender, and he and his studio made a separate version of Blender, which is just a separate download, which is fully optimized for creating stylized MPR stuff, basically focused on anime and creating those kinds of things. So if you're into that type of stuff, I would recommend checking out Goo Engine. It's amazing. With hands animated, you would probably just need some way to animate a body. Like, I have a Rococo suit, so I could just animate myself doing some moves, put some cloth over myself, you know. It's not easy though if you don't have a motion capture suit. You could use like Rococo video, which just turns video footage into motion capture data. You could use that to create the ghost as well. Yeah, it's a great one. And good to see you here, Lens. Lens Graphics is in the chat. You probably have seen his amazing Clash of Clans animation stuff as well. All right, so we're gonna move on to the final submission by Ralph. Ralph is still in the chat here. I hope it's the same Ralph. I'm not sure. If you are, please let us know that you made this. They said the following: here's my version of Winter Wonderland. It took a whole lot of time and I struggled a lot during the process, as it was my first time working in a full-scale environment and dealing with snow. Here I have tried to recreate the castle of Arendelle from Disney's Frozen. It reminded me of something. Didn't know what it was, but now I know. Frozen. I have used some textures and PBR materials which I got from online, but no downloaded models for assets were used in this scene. I've modeled everything up from scratch. Well, I mean, that's amazing for sure. Yes, Ralph is in the chat. Say hello, everybody. I think this piece is amazing. It has a very stylized look. It almost looks like it is in 3D, like it's done in 2D, which I love because it, you know, it has the style of like a Disney movie of like Frozen in this case, of course, but just the way the mountains look over here, the way everything looks, it feels drawn, like made in with like a different piece of software, and I think that's really, really cool. So job well done. My main feedback for this one would be very similar. I think we have like a theme, right? For it's just not a theme for the challenge alone, it's also a theme for the feedback for every challenge. So last time we had like brighten up your scenes, and this time we have like add a bit more blue, make the lights more warm, which again for this one I would do very similarly. So what I would do is I would say let's maybe make those tones, let's see, we can add a little bit more contrast first of all, for sure. Make it a little bit colder. Up the vibrancy. And finally what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and see if we can maybe make those lights warmer. Can we? Nope. Not like that. Okay, so final thing is we're gonna take a layer here, take a nice warm color, and very roughly paint this in here. Yeah, I mean, something like that, right? I think that makes all the difference already. Just, again, making it a little bit more blue just to sell the winter vibes, and then making the lights a bit more reddish to get the warmth back in the image. So this is the original image. And this is my quick edit. Might be a little bit overdone now, too strong, but I think it makes a difference. That's a good tip from Nogi there in the chat. To create proper lighting, change the color management view transform to false color and try to get in the orange-red zone for your highlights. Yes. So if you use false color, you will transform your entire image into a range going from black to white with all the colors in between. And you want to get as many colors as possible, sort of grayish looking or light green or maybe slightly light orange. And whenever you have something that's white, that basically means it's clipped out. And whenever you have something that's black, it's clipped out as well, but dark or light, essentially. False color is the perfect way to make sure the exposure of your images is correct. All right, so that's the last one, actually. I mean, look at that. We have a black screen. So yeah, I mean, that's them. The 43 amazing submissions. And I'm super happy with them. Can't express enough how happy I am with all of your submissions, how glad I am to see so many. And it's been truly heartwarming to see you guys give feedback to each other, create these amazing artworks. There's truly some amazing ones as well. And yeah, basically what it comes down to now is I'm gonna choose the top 3. Yeah, the next time with 200 submissions is going to be fun. Well, I mean, maybe it's gonna be like a 2-day stream then, I guess. But yeah, we're gonna choose winners here. We have so many submissions, it's actually not easy to do, right? In this case. So what I'm gonna do, maybe, just so I can sort of maintain a view here. Let's see, there you go. Hello me, nice and big. So these are all the ones on the left side, right? And I'm just gonna remove the ones, or maybe I'm just gonna highlight the ones that I feel are contenders. So let's go be small again. This one is one of my favorites. I'm gonna give it a top 5 placement for sure. So we're gonna keep that one in. The other one I think is a contender is this one by Webo 30. It's a really cool piece, unique take, good color contrast. Love the dragon in there as well. Yeah, I've been doing this in PowerPoint, right? But I'm doing the edits in Photoshop. This is another one that I really like. So that's going in the top 5 as well. I'm gonna put this one in the top 5 as well because I think it's amazing. And now we're sort of getting into the hard part here, right? Because I really like this one. I really like this one. I love this one. Hyder did great again as well. Lime's piece is amazing. This one can win, even though it should. And I love this one. Yeah, I mean, there's so many to like this time around, right? Top 10. Okay, we can do top 10. All right, so top 10, right? We have Hhkkh, which is the deer. This one, by the way. We have, I'm gonna put in lime here because I really enjoyed this one. A lime. We have Hyder Ali again, which is this one. Gonna put in Jam Drop because I think it's an amazing artwork. I'm gonna put in Rendercredit. Stop taking all these difficult names, guys. I'm struggling to pronounce them. We're gonna take Trey Cochran. 3D. Which is this software? Well, you're currently looking at PowerPoint and Notebook. But all of these were made in Blender 3D. And I'm gonna put in the Patreon tech supervisor. I mean, I gotta stay friends with Patreon, right? And we're gonna go for Webo here. Webo 30. And finally, I'm gonna go for KV3D. Oh, and we have one more slot actually for the top 10. Oh, I want to put in the deer, right? Where is it? I almost forgot it. Jago Export for sure gets a place. All right, so my dear chat, these are our top 10 contenders. And we need to choose 3 that actually get a prize. You can't see? Oh wait, my face in front of it, right? Okay, my bad. My bad. I think I agree that the pieces by Brachi and Gusarana are amazing as well. But I mean, what are we gonna do, you know? Gonna make this a top 11? Is that better? Okay, so now we have 11. I mean, we just made it harder to select what prizes for everybody. Well, yeah, I mean, definitely prizes for everybody in the form of like getting a shout out in the video description. I will put everybody's link in the video description for sure. So, but yeah, we need to select 3, which actually get some actual prizes. Sponsored by Polygonic and Smouse. Top 50? No, we're not doing that, Sebastian. We're not doing a top 50. Yeah. Big also had a great one. Yeah, he did. But you know, we have to make a choice. So, my personal opinion, what I'm gonna do here I could also place them side by side. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna select 4. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna select 4 of them. And 3 of those get prices, right? So I'm gonna select 4. I'm gonna put them side by side in one Photoshop document or whatever, so you guys can see all 4 of them at the same time. And then we're gonna vote. And we're gonna vote sort of based on like whoever gets the most votes is number 1, obviously, and second place, third place, and fourth place. Fourth place sadly doesn't get any prizes, but the other 3 do. So I'm gonna have you guys help me with that, but I'm gonna select the actual top 4. So we're gonna open up a new file here. And we're just gonna take a few. I love this one, so I'm just gonna put it in. It's my personal favorite. The other one I really like is the one by KV3D. And I believe a lot of you agree with that, so that's gonna do that one as well. Where are you? There you are. All right. Next, we're gonna go. Do this one. I feel this one is really good. Yep, this is number 3. And now we need the final contender. I like Lime's piece, but I think honestly that, like for example, Hyder Ali's is better. And Brachi's is better as well. To make a screenshot like that, I'm pressing the Windows key, Shift and S, which will let me sort of screen grab a small part of the window. I think this one is amazing. And I think this one is amazing. So for me, the final contender is either this one or this one. That's what I'm gonna go with. A lot of people screaming Hyder. Yeah, it's a cool piece for sure. I like Jago's piece a lot as well. I think it's very unique and very cool that they made them the deer themselves. Yeah. I'm gonna settle on Jago export here. So sorry if you weren't chosen, guys. But we have to make choices. All right, so let's scale these down so they fit the actual thing here. There we go. Something like that, right? Should be able to see all 4 of them. Yes, second place and third place do have prizes, Probless. So these are the 4 contenders, guys. I'm gonna do a new poll. Gonna end this one. And I would love if you guys leave your votes. So who do you like? we have as options Hhkkh. Yes, I do like deer a lot. We have Trey Cochran 3D. We have KFeet 3D. And we have Jago Export. All right, guys, polling now. Cast your votes. Make sure to check out the proper name. The names are at the actual artwork, so make sure to check whether you're voting for the right person. I believe you can still change after voting, right? All right, so we're gonna give this a couple of minutes. Currently, KV3D is in the lead for first place. Hhkkh is in second. Trey Cochran is in third, and Jago is coming in fourth. you can vote yourself, KV3D. That's fine. Don't worry about it. I already gave feedback for the flying car one mid-render. Oh yeah, absolutely true, Tio. They are all amazing. There were like a bunch of amazing artworks. It all comes down to personal preference. Technically speaking, you could maybe argue some are better than others, but in the end, it's definitely true when they say that art is in the eye of the beholder. So not necessarily everyone will agree with my choices here, but that's fine. These are my personal choices, so I'm very happy with these four. There's no fifth, no. There's 4 submissions and only 3 of these will actually get the prizes. KV is still in the lead. Hhkkh is second now. Trey Cochran's third, and Jago Export is fourth. The next challenge will be in January. I'll talk about it a little bit more after we're done selecting the winners. But yeah, next one will be the idea here is to do these types of things monthly. So 1 challenge a month, 1 live stream a month. We're gonna give it like 5 minutes total. It currently says it's at 2 minutes. So 3 more minutes. I'm not sure how many people are actually in here who can vote, but we'll give it a few more minutes. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to ask. 1 live stream a month. Yeah, I want to do 1 live stream a month. Maybe I want to do more actually. I've been thinking, you know, let me know, guys. Would you watch if I were to do like a game live stream or something totally unrelated to Blender? Maybe even create a new channel for that or something. I need an excuse to play video games, basically. Currently, I'm playing World of Warcraft. Before that, I played a lot of Elden Ring, Zelda. So. Yes, we are thinking, and we, in this case is me and the mods, are thinking about maybe doing animations for the challenges. The thing with animation is though that it creates a major barrier of entry, right? Because rendering animations takes up a lot of time, especially if your hardware isn't the greatest. Then yeah, you know, rendering a 5-second animation could take a day, if not more. So that's sort of the thing that I have against animations, and also it's a lot more work to do. And the idea is if we do animation, I only want animation. So similarly, nowadays in these challenges we have done stills, and if you were to submit an animation, that would be amazing to see, but I would only judge it for one single still, because it's unfair to sort of pose animation versus stills, because animation naturally looks more enticing than stills. So if we were to do animation, everybody would have to do animation, which, you know, again, it just makes for a lot more work, a lot more rendering. So I'm not 100% sure if that's the way to go. Knock Violin. Modern, I said World of Warcraft, the ancient game from 2004. That's a good solution, Gustavo. And just go full NPR because your PC sucks. Yeah. I could do separate categories for stills and animations. Yes, that's an option. Vote's ending now, actually, because it's 5 minutes ago. So we're gonna, you know, end the poll here. Can I actually still see it? Oh, there it is. I mean, there it is, guys. That's our top 4 here. So Jago Export unfortunately misses placement, but congratulations to KV3D for winning this one, HHKKH for 2nd place, and Trey Cochran for 3rd place. Well deserved, in my opinion. These are all amazing renders, and I'm happy that you guys won. So yeah, what's next then, I guess, right? So the next step would be, I'm probably going to reach out to each one of you individually on Discord, get some details, and set things up with the sponsors of the prizes here, give you your roles, and yeah, we're going to get this ball rolling and make sure everybody gets what they have won. I'm going to ask you probably which add-on you want, etc., etc. So me and the mods will get in touch with you guys and talk things over and make sure the prices come your ways. But again, major congratulations. Thank you all so much for submitting these amazing artworks, putting all your time and effort into this, not only to the winners, but to everybody who participated. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. All right, see you later, Sebastian. Good to see you here again, and I hope you're joining in for the next challenge as well. While we're on the subject, actually, yeah, so like I said, the idea here is to do a monthly challenge, which will last usually about 2 weeks. So for the next month, January, it's probably going to start a little bit later because of the holidays and stuff. And I have to do 2 videos actually in a very short while, so I'll be busy with that. But the idea here is to do 1 challenge a month, probably going to start like the 2nd week of January for this next one. And then by the end of the challenge, basically, we're just going to do a live stream, just like we did today. Once a month, the goal is to have some sort of prizes for every challenge. However, I can't guarantee it. This time around, the folks over at Polygonic and Smouse were kind enough to offer up some prizes for this challenge, but for the next one we don't have a sponsor yet. So even though there might not always be a sponsor, the goal is to have fun and learn anyways. That's why I'm doing these live streams as well. You know, I'm putting in time, giving feedback, just to help you guys grow as artists. So I hope that for every challenge a lot of you will participate and it will become bigger and bigger. You know, how cool would it be if I would have to take up more time just to discuss all of them, because it's not possible to do in a second or in 2 hours. Can you share the playlist playing in the stream? I think so. It's just from Stream Beats by Harris Heller, which also has a YouTube account. I believe it's called Senpai Gaming or something. But if you go on Spotify and look up Stream Beats, basically all his music is free to play during live streams. And it's just amazing, chill music. Do a chicken dance. I'm not doing a chicken dance. I mean, I'm on the internet. Everybody can see that I'm not doing a chicken dance. I'm sorry, Filmeric. Maybe you could, I don't know, do like a fundraiser or something. Yes, well said. Not so much, frankly. Deadlines, that's basically the point of the challenge, right? So because you're getting a deadline, no matter the stakes, the deadline forces you to put in the work, get better, grow, ask for feedback. And, you know, I feel like that's one of the best ways to learn Blender or anything in general, sort of setting yourself deadlines. No chicken dance. No chicken dance, guys. It's not gonna happen. You're very welcome, Tayo. I'm happy you enjoy them. Yeah, so for the next challenge again, for the next few days, I'm probably gonna celebrate Christmas with my family. Afterwards, I'll be busy with some videos, so keep an eye out for those. And then I expect somewhere early in January to release a new channel update, basically on the Discord server, for everybody to see what the next challenge will be. Again, we'll do a poll on the Discord server for what the theme will be. I will propose 4 different options, and you guys can vote on the theme for the challenge. So make sure to join the server so you can actually vote along as well. I'll make a new invite here. Generate a new link. I'm gonna share it with you guys a bunch of times. We need to check. If you donate money, I'll do a chicken dance, but it has to be good money though. Something like a dollar or something. I'll need more for chicken dance. A lot more. Ban for spam, yeah, sorry. But yeah, make sure to join the Discord server. Cast your vote for the theme of the next challenge. We're probably also gonna do some other fun stuff in the future. So we're thinking about maybe you get a standard asset, for example, from us, and you have to use that in a render, or maybe doing a render solely based around compositing in Blender, or maybe doing a render solely based around animation and you just get a basic character to animate with. Basically, we're trying to see what types of unique things we can do for these challenges. How much are we talking? Nah, I don't know, like $50 or something. No idea. No, actually, guys, this sort of wraps it up. Again, me and the mods will reach out to the winners. I'll make a post in the Discord server as well, congratulating the winners. And the number 1 winner in this case, KV3D, you're also getting a shout out on my YouTube community wall and Instagram. So I'll also be in touch about that. About 350, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no worries, Icecult. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for submitting a great art piece as well. Again, thank you everybody who participated and submitted. And yeah, I wish you all a great weekend. Merry Christmas if you do celebrate it. And at the very least, a very happy new year. So thank you for joining in, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.